All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am so excited today because I have somebody hiding in the wings, somebody hiding back there just in the green room of our live studio space today that you, my friends, are absolutely going to love because she is going to reveal these incredible methods to help crank up your social media marketing. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Michael Bridgman, and you are watching an episode of the Marketing Wizards Inner Circle live interview show. And today I have with me the genius, the absolute marketing maven, and the copywriting specialist of attraction marketing, Miss Deb Coman. Deb, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Michael. So good to be here with you and your audience.
Yeah, we're very excited to have you, Deb. And you know what? This is going to be a really special one because I think people are getting this one simple thing that we're going to talk a lot about today. They're getting it totally wrong, right? They're getting what social media is really all about completely wrong. And we're going to dive into that, aren't we?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so Deb, you've been at this marketing game for over a decade. And for those who don't know, Deb's an incredible at what she does, and she's a brilliant attraction marketing specialist and a great copywriter. And she saw some things that were happening in the space, especially social media and email marketing space, that just they didn't resonate with you, right, Deb? I mean, when you and I were talking in your pre-interview process, you were like, these things were frustrating me, and I could see them happening over and over again, and it didn't make any sense to you, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I saw a lot of people struggling and just spending a lot of time and not getting the results that they wanted. And it's because they were going about it all wrong, which is, I know what we're going to talk about today, how to flip it on its head and come at social media from the side that really works and gets your traction a lot faster.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the key. Gets you traction a lot faster, my friends. So, what's when you put this to me, Deb, a few weeks ago when we had our interview process, or about a month ago or so now, I was like, "Oh my god, that's so obvious!" Right? Like it's just so obvious. So I think when the audience, when we get to there, the light bulb's going to go on, and they're going to be just thinking to themselves, "Why didn't I think about this that way before?" Right? Why didn't I think
Yes,
about it
I
that way
hope
before?
so.
Yeah. Now, Deb, walk us through a little bit. Now, you're coming to us all the way from Syracuse in New York, which is amazing. So, thank you for joining us. And walk us through a little bit of how you got here, though. Before we jump into your social media methods and some of those key strategies, tell us a little bit about like how you wound up in this business and doing what you do. And then I've got a follow up question after that.
Sure. So I, like many of us in the online world, didn't start here. I mean, and usually the journey is not a very straight line. I had a career in the mental health field before this for a lot of years in upper management and direct care in a nonprofit human services agency. And
Yep.
then as life progressed and I had children, I wanted to stay home. So around that point, I started freelancing just a little bit. And when the person I did the most work for decided to go back to corporate, I said, I have to keep this going. I just want to do
Hmm.
more of this. And I was at the time just writing, doing a little bit of PR type press releases and that sort of thing. So essentially, that about 10 years ago, I said, I have to just start creating this for myself around what I want to do most, which is the strategy of what people are writing, why they're writing, what they're doing. Initially, it was around authors. I edited many, many
Okay.
books before coming to this point, which was more about building an online presence and getting clients and generating revenue for the people who work with me.
Got it. Got it. And so when you were initially sort of building up this portfolio of writing skills and stuff like that, a part of this was for your, as you said it, this was for you, right? Like what you were developing here was necessary because you wanted to grow your own brand and your own business, right?
Exactly. And like many of us, I got into it because I wanted to create my own schedule. I wanted to
Mm.
be able to focus on family when I needed to or wanted to. And once, as many of us get into it, we just get bitten by the bug of wanting to be an entrepreneur and recognizing that the potential is really unlimited. When we go about it in the right ways, we can have as much business as we desire,
Mm.
and not be bound by geography or some of the other things that might come with a different kind of employment.
I think that's so true, Deb. That they did a study that came out. It was about 3.5, 4 years ago now from Forbes magazine, and they asked a bunch of like hundreds, maybe even thousands of business owners slash entrepreneurs why they chose this path. Like, what was the most important things for them? And there was, some of the obvious answers were, I can make a lot of money doing this, or, I got excited about this particular demographic that I like to help. But the predominant factor, the thing that was overwhelmingly obvious from the poll, was the choice of freedom. Entrepreneurship and building a business granted these people freedom.
Michael, I'm so sorry, but I lost audio of you. At first, you were frozen. Let me just see. Hmm. I don't think it's on my end, but let me change something up.
Deb, are you there?
Yeah, I am now. Sorry, it might have been on my
My
end, but
microphone is gone.
I have
Okay.
you. You have me?
Hold on a second, everybody. I'm those who are watching here live. Bear with me a moment as I try and get Deb back into the space. I'm going to check and see if we've got any communication here. So let me
Okay.
take a quick look. This is one of those proverbial things where nobody likes to know how laws and sausages are made. Great line from West Wing. That sometimes you bang into these challenges, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, hang on, everybody. I'm just going to see if I can contact Deb directly through a tool here and find out if she's able to jump back on or not. Uh, okay,
Hmm.
so there's something going on with Deb's feed because I can see her. Let's try something here, you guys. Da, 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 da. Yeah, I'm not getting her her feed at all. Hmm. Yeah, you're saying you're live on your camera view, Deb, but for some reason I can't see you. Damn it.
Yeah.
And you know what's funny, Deb, is I can actually see you on the live feed moving around, and yet inside the studio, I can't see you at all here. Yeah. So why? Why is it giving me so much grief? Okay, so Deb, if you can hear me, I'm going to remove you from the scene. Try logging back in again, and then
Okay.
we'll jump right back into it if that works for you. Because I can't see you, so I'm going to remove you from the scene and just jump back in again. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, we are going to continue to try and get Deb back in. I can see her in a little bit, so she's going to log back in, and then we're going to get her back into the scene, everybody, because I absolutely adore what she has to share today, and I really want to make sure we get it out there. So we'll give her a moment here. Thanks for bearing with me as we help Deb get back into the live. And I know that on the actual Facebook Live and the YouTube Live, you could probably see her. It's just she wasn't registering into the studio space properly. So it was a software glitch on our side that we're looking to fix, in part because we, of course, are recording these, and we want to make sure we got a good recording as well so that we can use this to help other people. So Deb's back in. So let me just add her to the scene, you guys. Hang on one sec. Okay, Deb, I can see you and hear you now. But now she can't hear me. Can you hear me, Deb? Oh, perfect. All right. We are back. There we go. You know, I told you, Deb, I was having these weird internet issues in the last few days here. So I was saying to Deb, everybody, that there's a corroded uh, transition or transmission box, something like that, across the street that Shaw has to come and fix. And so it's been giving us some internet grief lately. And I think we ran into that. So sorry about that, everybody. But we're back. We're back now, Deb. Yeah, perfect. Um, okay, so I was talking about the fact that freedom, right? And I think you heard what I'd said there, probably, but weren't able. But I couldn't hear your response. So the idea that I think freedom is a bit of a misleading concept. That I think what we're really looking for is choice and optionality, and ultimately to control and be our own responsibility. And that's one of the things that I think people in the entrepreneur and business world really crave. How do you feel about that?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I knew you were going to say freedom. I mean, that's the first thing that popped into my head. And as you're saying too, it's defined differently for people. And
Yeah,
that's really the beauty of it. So sometimes freedom might mean financial freedom and the most revenue people can generate. And it can mean family or freedom around their time and their choices and all of that. And that's, I think, one of the key things about being an online entrepreneur, really any entrepreneur that but online and certainly when we're working for ourselves or having our own agencies, we have a lot of freedom to do things the way that we want to do it and on the time frame we want to do it as well. So that was attractive for me as a parent, and I had had my time in, although it was nonprofit, in that type of environment, which was fine. But this has really been enjoyable, and I love meeting people wherever they are in the world and being able to serve at that level.
love it, love it, love it, love it. And I think that and so that leads kind of into what we want to talk about and why, frankly, why I focus so much on marketing for small business owners, especially, is because listen, that freedom, that ability to dictate how you want your business to operate. That's all predicated on sales.
Hmm.
Like it's all predicated on revenue and clients. And if you don't have a good amount of revenue and a steady stream of leads and repeat clients, if you don't have those things, these options and these freedoms that Deb and I are talking about, they're not going to show up, my friend. They're not going to be there. You're going to feel completely at the mercy of your business, which a lot of business owners, and Deb can attest to this because she's worked with some of them, I'm sure, they're run ragged, right? They're at their wits' end,
Yeah.
and they're fragile and they're frail because they don't have great marketing to continuously fill their cup, and they're hunting and they're chasing people down all over the place. And Deb,
Right.
that's one of the reasons why I love what we're going to talk about now. And this because social media marketing and digital marketing is powerful, but it's got to be used the right way,
Hmm.
right?
Exactly. Exactly. And like you said, this is a place where a lot of even seasoned
Yeah.
entrepreneurs are spinning their wheels and putting a lot of resources, time, money, effort into social media, and not getting the results that they really can get, or not getting the maximum results that they could be getting. So that's another thing to kind of be aware of, that you
Mm,
may be getting results and think this is great, it's working, I'm getting some clients. But when we really go into this in a way that is going to make all this happen faster, and as you said, more consistently, more steady,
yeah.
uh, leads
Reliably.
and
Yeah.
clients, that that's what we'll talk about now, is just how to make that happen more easily with less effort, less time, and better results.
Love it. Love it. And now, when we talk about this, a lot of people are going to move to a very specific assumption. And because we're going to talk about social media and the age of, the real power of digital marketing, they're going to think about content. That's what they're going to think about, Deb. You and I know this, right? They think about, what do I have to create in order to attract?
Absolutely.
But you and I know that that's not what we're going to talk about,
Right.
right? Because it's a huge endeavor. I mean, I'm doing content right now, right? So it's a big process, but there's a problem with this. And so, Deb, walk us through the social media strategy that you put in place now for a lot of your one-on-one clients. So for those who don't know, Deb is a master strategist for this stuff, and she works with a lot of clients one-on-one. What is it that you talk to them about? Because most people are going, as I said, assume that we're going to talk about content and how to make better
Yes.
content or do more of it or blah 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 blah.
Yes.
But that's not the method that you've put in place that's really effective.
Exactly. And certainly I am a content creator, as you are, and all of us need to be to some extent, clearly, because we need to demonstrate our expertise and our
Yeah.
credibility and earn people's trust. However, the piece that can really make all of that happen a lot faster is what many are either not doing at all,
Mm,
knowing they should do it and they dabble in it, but not doing it to the maximum, or just not doing it in a way that really converts. So that's the other thing, is we can be doing all the actions and not getting the best results because
yeah.
something is misaligned. So I do create a lot of content, and the other part of the equation is where things really happen, and that's engagement. And again, many people think of, yeah, of course I want engagement. I want to post things and I want people to engage with it. I want them to ask me questions and comment and share my stuff. What
Yeah.
I'm talking about is us focusing our efforts on engaging with other people's content, doing it first, doing it frequently, and doing that consistently to build relationships. And a lot
So
of people
powerful.
say, yeah, yeah, well, thank you. I mean, it is. People say, yeah, I know. Oh, yeah, I know. That's true. I do that. I do try to comment. And this is where there's a huge range of
Mm,
opportunity, because we're not talking about the thumbs up, good job, love this, Michael, this is great. We're talking about meaningful engagement, where I watch your broadcast, I pick out key points that really were meaningful to me, and I tag you and comment back and say
Mhm.
specifically, or I'm sharing it with my audience, but I'm saying, here's why I'm sharing it, not just, hey, listen to this, it's really good. So when we go about engagement in a much more meaningful, deeper way, a lot of things happen and we build relationships faster. So my system is about doing that. Is really, I have a number of steps I actually go through
Yep.
that can become automatic, but initially people usually have to learn them and get comfortable with the process. And it's just a way to open up social media and start at it from the other side of the equation. And I can go through those fast if you want. I mean, I don't know how you want to take this conversation, but I can run through the actual steps that people can be doing on the platforms.
Yeah. Well, sure.
No
Let's get
problem.
to that in just a second. I want to comment on the fact that this is such a simple and yet so effective way of creating lead generation for your business on social media, but you're doing it in a way, you guys, that's authentic, that's genuine, that you're not reaching out grabbing at people to come and do business with you. You're simply participating in the dialogue and the narrative that's going on social media, and attracting people that are genuinely interested in you and what you do via that conversation tool. In other words, you're using social media to be, oh, shock, surprise, social,
Yeah.
right? Nobody loves the person at the party that's going around handing out their business card, letting them know that they sell, insurance or whatever they do, right? Not to
Right.
throw insurance brokers under the bus, but you know what I'm talking about. Like the fact is that we all know these people at a party. We go to a cocktail party and they're busy handing out their business card everywhere they go,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh God, but that's what we do on social media all the time,
Right.
right? We're posting content, we're revealing this, we're saying, come do business here. Like it's never stops, and yet the people that Deb's working with, they get this really amazing results and effective results. They're just having genuine conversations, and naturally, I would imagine, right? Naturally, those dialogues lead to a, oh, how, what is it you do, and how do you do that for other people kind of conversation.
Yes. Exactly. And I'm sure
Awesome.
you probably experienced this too. The most, I don't know, fascinating piece of it for me is that when we build relationships this way through the conversation online,
Hmm.
those same people will often refer to me
Right.
for the services that I do that they've never seen. They will refer people to me for email marketing strategy. They
Sure.
haven't seen an email that I've written, but they have come to know and trust me to put out in a certain way that they can feel confident making that referral. So it very much gets us the leads and the clients and the opportunities. And as you said when we started out, without us having to push that on people. And when
Yeah.
those referrals come, as we all know, most of the time people get on the call, they're already ready to work with you. We're not doing any convincing. We are just, shoring things up and that sort of thing. So it's very powerful. I've had gotten clients from just a couple of social media posts
Mm.
that just people respond because so many people are not doing this, that when you do it you are noticed. And it's not just that person that you're speaking to, it's, and this is the one of the other biggest keys, is all those people observing. I call
Right.
them like the silent observers. We think no one's seeing our stuff.
Mm.
That's great if I should be replying, but who's going to see it anyway? Lots
That's true.
of people, trust me. They're quiet. They don't always say anything. They don't always put a thumbs up or a like, but they're paying attention. And by the time they get to the point of being ready to talk with you directly, they already know a lot about what you do and how you show up. So there's
Love
so
that.
many reasons to give this a try if people are not already doing this.
Love it, love it, love it. Now, before we dive into the exact steps, Deb, how did you stumble onto this? Like, how did you start? Because I
Yeah.
would imagine that like a lot of people, you were using social media to grow your business and getting out there. How did you kind of dust off this, old school kind of like actually be a real human being method of attracting clients?
Yeah, so I love that, and I always did this from the beginning. I didn't
Okay.
call it a process. I didn't have a name for it. I didn't have the steps written out anywhere. I just kind of did it naturally because I genuinely was curious about people. I genuinely and wanted to, we all say bring value. Like, what does that mean? It's not just
Right.
my stuff getting in your space, but bring value to the person in the relationship. So honestly,
You know what, Deb,
it's
before
more,
you go, let me
yeah,
ask a question, because I think what you just said is so important for people to remember. And it just hit me, and I have to share it. The concept of bringing value, and add on to this if you want to, Deb. I just realized it's not about you teaching, educating, or giving them something all the time.
exactly.
Sometimes the value that you give is recognition of that human being.
Yeah,
Like, it made me
exactly.
think of my son this morning. He's he's going on the big, huge Vancouver Canucks ice tomorrow night as a little 6 year old goalie, and he's going to go play on the big, big professional hockey stage tomorrow night. It's very exciting. He's super excited. So he's practicing whenever he can. So he's putting on the pads, like his road hockey pads this morning, right? 6:30 in the morning. Dad, right? Get me to practice my saves downstairs as we're making breakfast. So constant. He's not looking for me to teach him anything, to give him a tool. He's not looking for me to open some window of incredible wisdom. You know what the value is that he's looking for? His dad engaging with him and recognizing him and loving him. That's what he wants.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
what you just said there is so important for us to remember. Quite often, the value that we're giving somebody in an interaction isn't about us teaching them something or pushing them along the progression track of where they want to get in their lives or helping them fulfill their dreams. It's about the fact that we're giving them some fucking recognition and some love and some affection and going, man, that was so brilliant. I love the way you did this,
Yeah.
et cetera, et cetera. We're on social media. Sometimes as marketers, we lose all of our tack,
Hmm.
and because we're going so fast towards this, like, you want to buy from me, you want to do this thing with me,
Right.
we're losing it, right? Anyway,
Right.
it just dawned on me that the value is in actually creating the connection,
It is,
right?
and that's a great example of it as you shared with your son. And when we think about it, the other way too is to think when we put all this time into creating content, what do we want? What do we hope people do?
Right,
We hope they see it, they read it, or listen, or watch, tune in, and get something from it, and tell us what they get from it. But
right.
how many of us are giving that to other people?
Love it.
Not many. I know I do that because I just really, and this is so simple that other people can be doing it too, is just step into their shoes, the same way you're wishing they would step into yours. When we post and say nobody's commenting, nobody's this,
Yeah,
what do? We go back and we create something else, right? We don't
yeah.
say, well, wait a minute, why don't I do this? And so for me, yes, I always did it naturally. And there was a pivotal point where my scheduled content, and I do post in real time a lot, actually more often than not, ran out. And I
Mm,
said, oh, gee whiz, what am I going to do? And it's like, wait a minute,
okay.
let's just go deeper on the engagement side. So wasn't even putting anything out. A lot of mine was done on Twitter, but this applies everywhere. I'm on the other platforms too. And when we do the process we're going to talk about, and just engage and
Hmm.
then log off. When you come back, if you've done it well, you're going to come back to 20 notifications where you can now get back in and
Right.
expand and keep going versus
Love it.
the open platform, no notifications. Okay, let me put more noise into the arena, right? No one
Oh,
needs to
such a
hear
great
all that.
analogy. Yeah. I'll just throw more noise in. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. And it's natural. And we do think, well, how else are they going to get to know us? But really, the decision to buy is not always about what we do. As we know, it's often about how we do it.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
have to have the expertise. That's just a given. I mean, you can't just do this process and not know how to deliver your service, but most of us, we can deliver a good service. So this is the area where we get to say, here's how I'm different. Like, look at how I
Right.
engage with you on social media, engage with other people, acknowledge. So you get a feel for, if you hire me to write your emails or help you craft your social strategy, we're probably going to work well together, right? If we've engaged well online. So it's
Hmm.
really the place where we get to differentiate ourselves and share more about what makes us who we are.
Love
That
it.
many business owners don't think that belongs in business, but it's really key to helping
Yeah.
people build trust with us faster.
Well, and I think what you're hitting on there is a symptom of perhaps a lot of really big personal brands
Yes.
showing or selling or teaching the way they do social media, and therefore a lot of other people copy it or model it. But the tricky part is, and I'm just going to use, like, let's say a Tony Robbins, for example, right? The tricky part is that Tony Robbins spends millions on his social media, and you would never expect him to personally comment on anything because he's a really, really busy person. So his most efficient and effective method of attracting leads is by doing big content,
Hmm.
right? Because he can reach such a mass volume. But a lot of us small business owners, those tactics just don't work the same way for you and I. We don't have the same brand recognition. And if we can, solicit those conversations, and by engaging with people, and as you said, just being a human being, going, God, I love that video that you posted. This part made me laugh. It was so amazing. And then starting that engagement, as you said, there's people that are watching you engage with other people, and they might not be giving the thumbs up or anything, but they are watching, and then they go back to your profile, right? And then they're
Absolutely.
they're they're learning about who you are. If we generate, every week, 3, 4, 5, 10 hot interested leads in our $3,000 or $4,000, $10,000 product, it's huge. It's
It
absolutely
is.
huge, right?
Right.
Compared to investing dozens and dozens of hours and hundreds or thousands of dollars into producing big leverage content
Yeah,
that goes out one week, but then you have to do it over again the next week, and over again the next week, and
exactly.
over again the next week, to try and compete with the people like Tony Robbins.
Right. It's not about quantity, it's about quality.
Yeah.
And the beautiful thing about engaging first with other people's content is it informs your own content creation.
Hmm. Sure.
If you're paying attention, what are the hot topics that people want to be talking about? What is the language they use? All the things as marketers we know are relevant to content creation. It's right there for the taking. We
Right.
get to go
Right
in
in
there
front of us.
and expand, ask another question when you're in there.
Love it.
Not just be pushing out, but what do you think of what I just shared there? Or how do
Hmm.
you go about doing this? And then we refeed that information back into, when we do go off and create our own content, it's more on target. And we know, certainly that circle of people who are involved will be interested, but also many other people who
Yeah.
are thinking the same things or wondering about the same questions. So it's a win for everybody, and it will make our content creation go faster, and we will get those leads like you're talking about. That's how it happens. Is people don't necessarily have to be on our email list. I mean, I love it when they are, but that's
Sure.
not the way everybody goes about making their buying decisions. So social is a place where you can, as we all know, reach people you would otherwise never get that connection to.
Yep. Yep.
They're not
Pardon me.
following us. They're not going to see our content. They're not following us. If we don't hit the algorithm the way we're supposed to be, they will never see us. If we go into their content or the circles that they're in or the topics they're in, they will see us, may
Yep.
see us, but they do notice because there's a lot of thumbs up and there's a lot of this is great. And if we took the time to create something more meaningful, we will stand out just in the reply segment of a post.
Love it. I think, as I said, when we started this, Deb, it's so simple.
Yes.
Pardon me. It's so simple, and yet we forget to do it all the time. And I don't think it probably takes actually less effort than
Oh my
making the
goodness.
content,
Way
right?
less.
Yeah, and yet it's still not our instinct because it's not what we're inundated with, right?
Right.
So I think, as you said, it's just not something a lot of people are doing. So then
Yeah.
let's go to the actual structure of it. So if you're
Okay.
sitting down with a client, what are these sort of steps that you take them through to figure out, like, because obviously they need to know who they should be engaging with, right?
Yeah.
That's part of it, and you have some really cool ideas surrounding the how to engage to
Yeah.
encourage dialogue and connection. So
Yeah.
walk us through a little bit of those pieces.
Sure. And the sometimes I think the most surprising thing for people is what you need to do before you even comment. And I have
Yeah.
steps that build trust, and it's an acronym, trust, so people could follow along, and if they want to jot it down, it's super easy.
Okay, I'm
But the
doing it myself.
first the
Yeah.
first T is to take account. So this is when we're opening that platform, and we are looking for, as you said, the people. So the people who we know, who are colleagues or in our industry, who we might look up to or we value what they have to share. So who are the people? What are the topics? Maybe it's a hashtag, maybe it's just a topic. We go searching. And what are the conversations that are already there? Sometimes they're going to be right in our feed. If we do a good job with engagement, we get rewarded and our feed starts reflecting what we're looking for. But in the beginning, you might have to do some work around this.
Okay.
So we first just do that. Just what's going on here? What is the conversation? What are people talking about? Where can I contribute something?
Right.
Not more of the same, but where can I contribute something more meaningful?
So you're
The
showing up to the party and you're reading the action,
Right. And most
figuring out
people
what's
are
going on.
showing up saying, "Oh, what can I say here? What can I post? What
Yeah, everybody look at
let
me.
me
Yeah.
to that." And so take a minute, take account. R is for reflect. And this is again because we don't want to react. We want to kind of take a moment to observe and think about, how am I going to enter into this conversation, right? It's not my topic. It's someone else's feed, it's someone else's post. What am I thinking about as I read through what's happening here? How am I feeling? What can I contribute and bring? So take
Mm.
account, reflect. You is unleash creativity, because we want to show up in a way that is us. And people talk a lot about showing up. Like, what does that mean? Be you and all of that. It means, like, take a minute and think of, like, do you want to bring humor into the conversation? Are you super creative? Or do you have some facts that might be interesting? So take a minute to think about, what is the way you want to express what you want to be sharing, because this is again how you build trust. What's the post calling for? And you
Hmm.
like get a feel for what's going on there. Maybe humor's not appropriate. Be super careful
Right.
with sarcasm. It may fit right in, it may kind of not. So just kind of take a moment and think about what really makes you you, and allow that to be part of what you're going to do.
So what was the beginning part of the U one more time? Yep.
Unleash. So unleash your creativity,
Gotcha.
because this
Okay.
is how
Perfect.
people get to know us. S is set an intention. And you touched on this earlier, Michael, when you were saying you were setting an intention on what? Connection. It's what it should be. Yes, we want the sale. Yes, we want to generate revenue and leads, but we want to go into this conversation with, I want to connect with people and get to know more about them. So sometimes for us, we have to really focus on that to make
Mm.
sure that's what comes through. Otherwise, people get the feel and the energy of, we see it all the time, wanting the sale. When people are
Yeah.
hopping into other comments saying, I do this too. I have my thing that you could buy and here's how. Or that's not what this is about. So set an intention for connection, and just focus on that and bring that energy into what you're going to post. When you do this first, the clients and sales will come. So you're going to have to just trust that that will happen if it's right. And then T, which it's kind of odd that this is where we're taking action, that we're going through all those steps before we start replying or posting. And
Mm.
and the point being that you will join in much more meaningfully when you go through those steps and then create what your reply is going to be, what your comment is going to be, or if you're sharing it, how are you going to set it up for the share and add your own flavor. So that's the beginning. And, seems like, well, who's got time for this? But
Mm-hmm.
it does become much more automatic. I mean, I don't even think about it, and my clients, after a time, don't think about it. It just comes naturally. So it's well worth it. And then, there are a whole bunch of other steps to do as well. But these are the most critical ones for
Okay.
starting out, because this is where you really have the most potential to show up in a meaningful way.
Love it. Love it. So essentially, this acronym TRUST is how you do this, right?
Yes,
Is
the
how
framework.
you enter onto Instagram or into your Facebook newsfeed, and how you jump into LinkedIn and go
Yeah,
through this. So take account, reflect, unleash your creativity, set your intention, and then take the actions to engage with other people's content
yeah,
and start your attraction engine
yeah,
through that method.
yes, that's
And the
right.
great part that I love about this, Deb, is it doesn't take away from any other marketing method that you're already practicing, be that running ads or doing direct messaging or any of that stuff, or encouraging people to grab a lead magnet from you and then nurture them through your email. This doesn't interrupt or stand in the way of any of those methods.
Right. Exactly. And you're right to mention all the others because they are important. And this isn't to say just go in and engage all the time and you'll be golden. I mean, those other ones all have their place,
Yep.
just like content creation. But think about this one. You don't need anything but your brain to do this one. You could be on your phone,
Yes.
waiting in a
That's the part I
parking
like. Yeah.
lot. You could be at the laptop when you start the morning and say, I'm going to go in and engage 30 minutes.
Yeah.
30 minutes doesn't have to be hours upon hours, because we're
Okay.
selective about what are the topics, the people, the topics, and the conversations that align with what I do, right? I can comment on a lot of the other stuff, but I want to be in the arena of the work that I do and the services that I provide. So
Mm-hmm.
when we put a little bit of thought into that, our time again is much more rewarding and will help to generate revenue. So if we go in
Love it.
there and do this on the other stuff, yes, it will definitely build relationships, but the faster path is going to be clear about those topics, the people, and the conversations.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Because I think that this particular concept, as you just put it, Deb, is a very resource simple and resource light method of gathering some momentum. And like, how powerful would it feel, my friends, if you're suddenly creating engagement on social media and you've got 4 or 5 days later, a week later, or 2 weeks later, after doing this, you now have people going, hey, you were chatting on mine. I had a client. I saw that you do email marketing, or I saw that you own a chiropractor agency, or a chiropractor, I should say, or I saw that you do this. I have a friend. I just let them know to reach out to you. Like, wouldn't that feel amazing? That all you're doing is you're just engaging, and you've got this flood of positive, really wonderful energy vibes coming back your direction because you've practiced this trust method and you're
Yeah.
putting it in place, right?
It works, and
Yeah,
you're right in that they will come, and the more that we do this, we are constantly feeding that pipeline,
yeah,
really, because it's not all going to happen right away. Some will. Like I said, I've done one post and gotten a private client. That's not the norm. But when you do this over time, people get to know you more, and then guess what? When you do post your content that you created, they're going to come over and engage with what you've put
yeah,
there. And as you said, build a relationship where you'll take it offline. The later steps include, getting to the one-on-one conversation, and then
yep,
if a sale is right, um, it opens all sorts of doors, in addition to sales and revenue, like opportunities, like being on podcasts, because people
totally.
see, oh, you do podcasts, well, maybe I'd love to have you on mine. And if we don't bring any of that into our social conversations, then how are people going to know what we do and what we have to share?
Yeah, yeah, I hear you. Oh, hang on one second.
They agree.
um, Cruzy, enough. um, yeah, you know what, Deb? It's so good. It's just so good because I think a lot of people make it way more complicated than it has to be.
Yes.
And one of the things I love about this method is that you've just simplified the process. And the other thing too is that I know some people uh, that are basically deep into Facebook in the actual corporate side. And listen, Facebook and all these social media apps, their main objective, my friends, is to keep you on the app, right? It's to keep you engaged in the tool. That's their primary motivation. And so if they see your account, for example, engaging a lot and active a lot, then what tends to happen is that when you post stuff, right, they show it more naturally because you're already like you're doing what they want you to do, therefore they're going to support what you do. You know what I mean? Like there's
Yeah.
a this person's a really highly engaged, you know, account on socials, therefore their account gets more traction. These are the
Yeah.
natural way of you're scratching our back, we'll scratch yours that starts to happen in these social media apps because you're engaging in creating that sense of back and forth that's going on and you're
Yes.
prompting people to, oh, I got a message, I should load up my app and check out, oh look, Deb commented on my thing. Like when Deb's doing that, Facebook says, oh, this Deb Cohn account, that's a really active account, we should promote her stuff more.
Yeah.
So there's that. It
Right.
takes a while, but that's also a sort of real, sort of under the surface effect of when you're using a social media tool on a regular basis, it starts to get more active.
Yes, absolutely. And when I really went all in on the engagement at that pivotal point where my content was like, oh, I got to get going here again,
Right.
within a week or two, I was recognized by BuzzSumo as a top 100 content marketer to follow. And I thought, wait,
Isn't that hilarious?
where did this
Yeah.
come from? And what was really validating was it was based on data. It wasn't based on follower count, it wasn't
Right.
based on influence, it was based on how much are you replying, responding, engaging, how much are
Yep.
you not dropping links in your posts,
Totally.
and it was real raw data with a lot of other top marketers, I mean, who, much more established and well known than mine, but it was because not everyone is doing this. So it
Yeah.
gets noticed. You're right. The algorithm notices that's what we want. They don't want you
Yeah.
sending people off the platform. Certainly, you're going to do it at times, but when you put the bulk of your efforts into engaging right there on the stuff that they're already interested in, right? We're not saying, hey, come over here and tell me what you think about me. We're
Yeah.
like, I'm here to support you. What do
Yeah.
you got going on? And that's different. People don't see that a lot. So they notice, oh, Michael's here again. He
Yep.
commented last week or yesterday. And that is enough for you to get in their brain where they say, wait, am I following him? What's he posting about in his space? So it's
Yeah.
a very natural kind of reciprocal. We can't expect that, but that is what typically will happen when we do it well and
Sure.
genuinely, right? We can't fake this stuff. We can't go in there and say, oh, I really would love this client, so I'm going to just like everything. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but the better way is to find the meaningful value for them in what you're doing, and that's when they notice.
You know what? I,
So
I get that quite a bit, Deb. People will go on to my YouTube channel or they'll go on to my Instagram and they'll comment on my videos. And within 48 hours, they're in my inbox pitching me their services of something.
yeah,
Right. So
that's
it's
not
like
good.
you can't, that method of how do I put it? It's just empty. It's false, right? It's
Yeah,
disingenuous and it doesn't really work. Right.
yeah.
So I love
It
it.
doesn't. It's a trust eroder. So I always
Yes.
feel that we are either every time we open a social media platform, we have an opportunity to build trust or to erode it. So
Mm,
choose wisely.
yep. Love it. You know what, Deb? This has been amazing. We've been chatting for almost an hour here, so it's just been absolutely fantastic. So for those who want to get a hold of you, I'm going to post your website here just across the bottom so people can see it. right here. So you can contact Deb right there at debcoman.com. But what is the best way to get a hold of you, Deb, if somebody wants to find out more about what you do and how you do it?
Well, true to what we're talking about today, you can find me on just about any social media platform
Sure.
as Deb Coleman Writing or Deb Coleman, but mostly it's Deb Coleman Writing. You'll find me, and just
Okay.
reach out. Tell me you watched our show here. Let me know what's going on in your world. I'd love to connect with people further, and give me an opportunity to come and engage with what you're sharing out there. So
Beautiful. Beautiful. I love it. Okay. So as we wrap it up, I've got my final two questions for you here. Are you ready?
okay, yeah.
Okay. So first of all, we play this out 1 year from now. It is March the 1st, 2025. What has Deb Coleman accomplished in the last 12 months?
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm always speaking on podcasts, but I'm going to be doing it even more regularly. So I would say that people are seeing me every time they turn around, guesting on another podcast and working with more clients. I mean, I still have some room for my in my private work. So let's say March 1st, 2025,
Yep.
it's all filled up. How about that?
Beautiful. Love it. You got a full book. A full book. Okay. Awesome. And then this has been a great dive into this. But I think there's probably more to unpack still. I think there's probably some cool tactics and ideas that you and I can dive into. And it's the system and the method's going to evolve. So with that in mind, at a future date, can we get you back on the show? I promise we'll solve the tech stuff that got in our way a little bit.
Sure, Michael. That's very nice of you. I would love to come back and we can go
Okay,
further.
perfect.
Thank you.
There you go. You hear it here, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it here. She said yes. She said yes. So, Deb, this has been an absolute slice. So it's been a ton of fun. Thank you so much for being on the show. It's been really, really great. And you've got so much wealth and knowledge to put out in the world. It's amazing stuff.
Thank you. I really enjoyed talking with you and your audience today. So thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for watching this live, although at times bumpy episode of the Marketing Wizards Inner Circle. I have been Michael Bridgman. She has been Deb Coleman. You have been awesome. And this has been another episode of the show. So thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next week where we have another incredible live interview just for you. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Have a great weekend. Ciao for now.